Seth with a beautiful blue-red deck, and now we'll see what Shahar ended up with. Again, one person's going to 3-0 this pod. That means one of these people is going to make top 8.
Ideally. Breaker should be good.
Breaker should be good enough.
X2 has missed before, so it's not a lock. But
these would be players that have 3 buys, both of which we are watching, as we are now watching Shahar, Shenhar, and do a little draft.
And you can see Shahar, still very young, immediately went to the back of the pack.
I can appreciate it, trust me. Looks like considering Duststalker. Also Serene Steward.
Duststalker, perhaps the more powerful card of the two in the absolute sense. A pretty substantial commitment. I think that if Shahar has a preference for white, he can take the Serene Steward. I also don't mind Deathless Behemoth here as just a reasonably powerful, very flexible pick.
Gonna go with the Serene Steward, however.
I know some people really like the white-black life gain deck. Serene Steward's floor is still pretty high. It's a 2-2 for 2. It's not going to be the end of the world if your deck doesn't pan out that way. But if things break right, this could be a foundation pick for a very good deck.
Oh, we move on to the next pick, a foil front Forerunner Slaughter. I know what your pick would be.
That card is busted and a foil.
Yeah.
So that is easy.
Shadow Glider an option. Forerunner Slaughter looks like an option here for Shahar as well. Looks like Shahar has some interest in just staying on color.
Especially after he ships a red-black Devoid rare that's likely to be the second pick or third pick of the draft. I don't think he can really pivot and take a red-black Devoid enabler.
Yeah.
And a 2-2 flyer for 3 is a fine pick, so nothing fancy here, but
looks like Shadow Glider it is. That is a selection.
I think that's a pretty straightforward pick there.
Yeah. Just staying on color, nothing too crazy going on as we get ready here for Shahar's third pick of pack 1. You can remember Seth Manfield on the direct opposite of Shahar at the table, completely other side. Nothing too impressive in this pack.
If Shahar has a preference for white-black here, then I think Demon's Grasp is a pretty straightforward pick. Nothing else is jumping out at me. I think Processor Assault, after you open up on 2 white cards, is not really an option.
Looks like it will be Demon's Grasp. We'll take the removal spell.
I think that if there was a fine but maybe less powerful white card than Demon's Grasp in the pack, he would have selected that instead to stay open. But because of the Serene Steward, he already has an incentive to move into black, and Demon's Grasp was way better than any white card in the pack.
Well, there's a Touch of the Void. We know that one's powerful. Also Myers Malice.
This is, I think, the first very tough pick of the draft for Shahar. Touch of the Void this late is a signal. It means that he's got to punt either the Demon's Grasp or his first 2 picks, most likely. And I think the difference in power level between this and Myers Malice is just too high, especially this early in the draft. This could mean that that red is wide open, and I think Shahar is well suited just to move in at this point.
Touch of the Void is a selection there for Shahar Shenhar. Looks like he's considering Core Blade World now. I'm curious to see if he's willing to make the move into red now. Maybe some sort of red landfall deck. It's unclear. Maybe just a red-white aggressive deck. Maybe some allies, maybe not.
Yeah, nothing wrong with a 2-2 flyer for 3 and an aggressive red strategy. If he's thinking about being red-white, then he can start moving into allies a little bit. It does dampen the impact of the Serene Steward as a first pick, but a 2-2 for 2 is also fine filler for an aggressive strategy, and you might end up incidentally with a little bit of life gain as well.
Core Blade World, the selection there for Shahar Shenhar. So now we go to the next pick.
Cards like Courier Griffin just end up in your deck somehow, and so the Serene Steward will still trigger a little bit.
Looming Spires brought forward. Also Lithomancer's Focus. And now Boiling Earth. Not a lot of great options for Shahar this pick, it feels like, though.
No, this is a bit of a disappointment given how open red appeared to be. There is acceptable filler at this stage.
Surprised to see Looming Spires there?
Not necessarily. It's the weakest card in the pack, but I don't mind taking the lands high if you have an expectation of easily getting to 23 playables. I'd rather be taking the lands if I'm confident that red and white are open. I'm not going to struggle to get enough playables.
Shahar looking at the combat trick now.
I have a similar philosophy with sideboard cards. If you think your color combination's open, you can take powerful sideboard cards very highly because you're not going to struggle to get to 23 or 22 cards, and having those cards in your deck add a lot of value.
Tandem Tactics, the selection there for Shenhar. There's another Tandem Tactics if you'd like to move that direction. Also another copy of Looming Spires for the two-time world champion.
I don't mind the Tandem Tactics here. It's a fine trick, maybe not the best, but a fine trick for a red-white aggressive strategy. And with a Serene Steward already, the life gain could be significant.
There is a Feldhar Cub. It looks like he'll be selecting. And what you have right now is just a player who's drafting what appears to just be a pretty straightforward white-based beatdown deck.
Yeah, I think he has an incentive to move into allies. And with the Tandem Tactics, if he gets another copy of Serene Steward, that could be very good for him as well. But he is low on synergy right now.
Expedition Envoy is the selection there.
Beatdown artist.
Yeah, he's giving beatdowns.
Not very good in this format, unfortunately, because of all the Scion stuff going around. But if people's draws are slow, 2 power on the first turn still can be pretty good.
Ondu champion the selection there. So he's got a bit of an ally theme going here. So, you know, he's looking for specific cards in these couple of packs. A card like Resolute Blade Master, Munda, stuff like that. It looks like he's solidifying himself into base white, or maybe a little bit of red there. Maybe he moves into another color.
And I like the position he's in at the end of pack 1. If his deck ends up being non-synergistic red-white beatdown, that's totally fine. He's got a pretty good base for that. Also, with the allies and the Serene Steward, his deck could easily shift into something more synergistic, either life gain focused or ally focused, if the right cards break. But if he just takes more random red-white good stuff cards, he's going to be fine. And you can see at the end of the pack here, he's got about 9 or 10 acceptable playable cards. So taking the lands as aggressively as he has, worked out very well for him here, because he's probably not going to be struggling to get enough playables at the end of the draft.
Yeah, this isn't a bad start for this type of deck. We didn't see this deck at all really yesterday, and we haven't seen it in the draft yet today either. But there's a deck here that you can draft. It's unique, and there will be some small synergies here, but you're, as you said, you're a beatdown artist. Inspire Charge, Sheer Drop, Valakut Invoker, Core Entanglers. There's where the $1 million came from. Okay. Remember, Seth had to reluctantly pass that card in the second pack for him, but then got the Brutal Expulsion after it.
Not that the blue-white legend is bad here for Shenhar, but Core Entanglers is powerful enough for his style of strategy and doesn't involve a splash that I'd be surprised if he passed it.
Well, you're not going to be surprised because he's taking it.
And Sheer Drop, maybe the more powerful of the two cards in an absolute sense, but if your deck is all on the offense, if you're the one attacking and expecting your opponent to be blocking, your opponent may not have tapped creatures very frequently. For a control deck, that pick's going to be the other way around.
Shatterskull Recruit is brought forward pretty quickly. Encircling Fissure as well. Not sure if he sees anything here that he's in love with. Do keep in mind, Shatterskull Recruit is an ally.
Encircling Fissures is custom made for decks like this, though. It looks like Shahar just wants the ally at this stage. His deck is also a little spell heavy at this point, so he probably just wants to make sure he gets enough creatures. But Fissures is attractive there. That's not a straightforward pick.
Moving along to the next pick here for Shahar Shenhar, the two-time world champion. Will take a look at what might be an easy pick now.
Ding, 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 ding.
With this ally theme that he's got going on, Hada Agamafada might be exactly what he's looking for. But maybe it's just Gideon's Reproach instead of the hero.
I mean, if he's got curve concerns at this point. Hero seems perfect for his deck, but if he's concerned here about the curve, I guess he's going to go with the Reproach.
Okay. He is clearly concerned with the curve there.
I mean, he just took a 5-drop in the previous pack.
Very true. Take a pretty healthy look at this pack now, will Shenhar. A tough choice here.
This pack is a little dry. I'm sure he wished those white cards that he saw in the previous pack were spaced out over these two.
We'll take a Stonehaven Medic Core Cleric, not Core Cleric Ally, unfortunately.
Unlikely to make the cut, but if he ends up with a second copy of Serene Stewart, that could change.
And the Looming Spires here. There's also an Inspired Charge. He's going to take the mini overrun, I would say. Pretty nice effect there.
I don't think he has enough evasion to play this one, but again, potential sideboard card, potential last playable.
Smite the Monstrous opens up this pack.
I think Shahar just needs creatures at this point.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of spells, but for a deck like this, it's important to curve out and be consistent, and I like the pick there of the Slide Runner.
Pretty happy with the Slide Runner there as a pick.
You wish it was an ally, maybe you wish it was something a little bit more powerful, but with all the pump spells that Shahar has in his deck, those cards really only function if you're curving out consistently.
Let's see what's next here. Void Winner is still off in the back. Another Slide Runner, Core Castigator, Shatter Skull Recruit among the options.
The distribution of these packs have not worked out that well for Shenhar. There's been some packs where it's been bone dry, and then some packs where there's been 3 or 4 playables for him. With better distribution here, I think pack 2 could have gone extremely well for him. As it stands, this pack has to be a bit of a disappointment.
Yeah, that's one of those packs where there were a lot of playables there.
Yeah, there's 4 solid cards for him in that pack.
McKindy Patrol an option. He's going to take that one pretty quickly. That's really the only option.
The middle of this pack went pretty poorly, but the back end's salvaging it a little bit. He's getting a couple playables here, cards that will definitely make his deck.
Looks like a Reckless Cohort. Another ally.
Go with Tandem Tactics, because, you know, they block it. And that's sweet.
Because
combo!
Yep, there you go.
See?
Yep, speak of the devil.
There it is. That's how you build a deck.
That's a third Tandem Tactics.
That's a very low bar for a combo, but that still qualifies as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
Creature that must attack and a pump spell works because they don't assume you're bluffing, because you have to attack.
That's a late one of those. Yeah. I'd be pretty happy with that.
It's not bad, but given that he passed on Hero Gomafada for Gideon's Reproach, he might already be concerned about the curve. It's a fine pick at this stage, you know, close to last, but I think Shahar may already feel like he's got too many expensive plays.
Unified Front, Eldrazi Devastator, some of the things that he'll be able to close this out with. Now we get to watch him kind of curve it out a little bit here. Because what we know now, he's white-red beatdowns. That's not going to change.
My feelings on things at this point, his deck is fine. Pack 2, a bit of a disappointment. I think that he needs to prioritize creatures over spells, even if he gives up a little bit of quality, because he's a bit spell heavy right now, and creatures are critical for strategies like this.
You can't come up short on those. You need enough to operate. See him organizing things. He's got an idea of what he likes.
And you can see he separated his spells and his expensive plays from the cheap part of his curve. He's analyzing those as kind of separate elements of the deck right now.
The review period is over, and now it's time for one final pack for Shahar Shenhar. Drafting an aggressive white-red deck. A little bit of an ally theme. What's that rare?
Green, never mind.
Yeah, he went
Move
back
along.
there fast, yeah. A little shade of green there, no thank you. Nettled Drone looks like an option here for Shahar. It's also a Cliffside Lookout. The rare is the Oran Reef Hydra. No thank you. Absolutely not.
I think that I prefer the Lookout out of the 2 cards, but it's fairly close.
It's pretty close, right?
Yeah.
What's going on there with the Lookout? You know, it's on your base color. it's got relevant text as far as an ally is concerned, and also relevant text as you work your way later in the game, too.
Yeah, Nettledrone is just kind of mopey in decks that don't have a very loud Devoid theme to them. Trades with a lot of stuff. Just isn't very effective.
Valakut Predator goes to the front very quickly, and now,
I don't think Radiant Flames is really good against Shahar's deck. I don't think it's a card that he can take and play himself. Going to be hard to cobble together a deck of 2/2s for 2 and Pyroclasm.
Yeah.
It's disappointing because it's by far the most powerful card in the pack, but it's just not very well suited for his deck.
It's a little anti-synergy there.
Nanbo.
So not a member of Combo Nation.
No.
Core Blade World, the selection here for Shahar.
Disappointing that he can't take the Radiant Flames. Also disappointing that now there's a Radiant Flames floating around the table.
Yep. And any opponent that he has to play against that has red cards, you have to be wary of that.
Yep.
Another Touch of the Void, another Core Blade Whirl. Lithomancer's Focus, Sure Strike. I think it's tough to pass the touch.
If it's a pick here, it's between touch and the creature. He'll probably be able to float one of those 2 pump spells. If he's taking the Blade Whirl here, it's because he's just concerned about critical massive cheap creatures.
Looks like he's going to take the touch. That's the second one of those for him.
And that pick looks like a slam dunk. It's not quite that straightforward. I would have made the same pick, but Shahar has to be concerned about what his cheap base of allies looks like.
Next pick we go. There's a Core Castigator. That'll fill the curve. Also a Tunneling Geopede.
I think that I like Castigator here.
3 power for 2 mana. Already a fan. It's an ally as well, and that's going to be the selection. He's looking to go beatdowns. Over to Shahar Shenhar we go with another pick here. Clutch. Ooh. You hate to see that late, especially when you're not in that color. That card's so good. Maybe a Vestige of Emrakul here.
With him already having a copy of Ghostly Sentinel, I would probably take the Vestige, but it's pretty close and unlikely that either pick makes the deck.
Yeah. We'll take the second Sentinel.
Sentinel's probably a card he's more likely to sideboard in.
Oh, look, another Oran Reef Hydra. Is that the 3rd one in this draft?
Yeah.
Angelic
Just desperate
Gift.
for a friend.
Yeah. Someone to...
What's wrong with me?
Yeah.
I'm pretty powerful. I'm good if you flood out. What's the deal?
There's just 3 of me just hanging around. Someone take me. I'm curious who the Green Drafter
The
is.
reckless cohorts are getting scooped up more than I am.
Yeah.
What is the deal?
Blighted Gorge, a selection there.
Probably
for
doesn't
Shenhar.
probably doesn't make the cut, but if his deck ends up in a place where he wants to play 18 lands, this is a way to play 17 and a half.
Yeah, that's land number 18.
Yep. I think his color mana requirements are probably sensitive enough that this doesn't make the cut unless he goes to 18.
Lithomancer's Focus. Fire Mantle Mage. I think I like that one.
Yeah, that's a pretty sweet pickup this late in the draft.
Yeah.
That's definitely making the cut.
Yep.
A little bit of a gift there at the end.
Yeah. I would be happy to have that. Another Blighted Gorge. Don't think he wants a second one, but he brought it forward pretty quickly. And there's that foil. Yeah, I know.
Come on.
There goes that foil Plains. Well, he's won Worlds twice, so he's fine. Yeah.
Everyone's fine until they're not. You don't know when that's going to happen.
Reckless Cohort hanging around, getting the selection. Another Tandem Tactics. Lithomancer's Focus also there. He's going to take the Tactics, though.
Interesting. I think most people think that Lithomancer's Focus is the better of the two, but with Shahar having so many cheap creatures, he might feel like Tandem Tactics is going to be the more powerful pump spell.
It's a minor thing there, taking the Rampart at the end, but I like him taking the Rampart at the end.
Get that out of the draft.
Yeah, you don't want to play against it.
Don't want to play against it.
Yeah, it's a minor thing. You just don't want to have to worry about playing against that.